Barry, he's the GOAT of all GOATs as GMs. Man, just imagine dropping to the 5th round, being the 4th-string quarterback, 2 guys above you, getting injured, and you start in your rookie debut. And even knowing that the goddamn owner of the Cleveland Browns wanted nothing to do with you or the Sanders family at all. But you know who did? But do you know who did? Andrew Berry. He gets 100% full credit, A++ for Shedeur Sanders.
You know what? I think it's unfair for me to comment in I guess maybe on behalf of the industry. All I can say is this: the time that we spent with Shedeur, and what he's done throughout his college career is impressive. He's an impressive young man. He's a really good quarterback. Sometimes fit comes into play, and I'd also say this: they're
30+ touchdowns. I ain't bring none of that up, okay? But here you are bringing up something when we're talking about him and what he looked like in the NFL.
What happens when a front office ignores the depth chart, flips off the scouting reports, and hands the entire franchise over to the 5th-round rookie nobody expected? Welcome to Cleveland, where the Browns just did the one thing they haven't done in 20 years. Something bold. Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be a long shot, a project, a side note in the draft. Dillon Gabriel had the resume. Joe Flacco had the history. And the Cleveland Browns? Well, they had their usual quarterback carousel spinning like always. But then something unexpected happened. Andrew Berry, the Browns GM, saw something nobody else did. And suddenly, the kid with the famous last name became the frontrunner. Not because of hype, not because of legacy, but because in the chaos of rookie camp and preseason pressure, Shedeur didn't just survive. He started to shine. And here's where it gets wild. The owner reportedly wanted nothing to do with him.
Shedeur Sanders, right? I mean, there is just so much content, so much debate, so much vitriol over Shedeur Sanders. They have remained relevant even when they're not winning. And I really ended up liking him as a person as well, and I still do. I think they really looked at it and thought, he's going to be fine here. So it really hasn't been him as much as it has been everything around him. And a lot of it is social media and regular media, but it's really not Shedeur putting himself in the eye of the storm. It's more so just all of the ancillary stuff around him.
NFL insiders were dismissing him after a pick six and a fumble. Most scouts had him buried in their notes, but Berry went all in anyway. Now we're left with one of the riskiest quarterback decisions in recent NFL memory, and a fan base split right down the middle. Half of Cleveland thinks they found the savior of the franchise. The other half thinks they're watching another disaster unfold in slow motion. It's dramatic, it's messy, and it might just change everything. So how did we get to this point? Why throw out the playbook for a rookie with a spotlight bigger than his stat line? Most 5th-round draft picks quietly disappear onto a depth chart, take a clipboard to the sideline, and hope for a miracle. But Shedeur Sanders, he skipped the line. When Andrew Berry made the call, it didn't just shake Cleveland. It straight up confused the entire football world. On paper, Dillon Gabriel was the safer bet.
Is going on in Cleveland? Let me know what you guys would do. Would you keep Shedeur? In my opinion, from what I've seen, Shedeur might be the best quarterback they have on the roster. Yes, you have Flacco, and you don't need to start Shedeur right away, but you have a 5th-round pick who could end up being a starter, which you're not really going to have to pay all that much. I think that's a win-win for both the team and Shedeur, but hey, that's just me. Let me know down below if you think he should be the starter or if you think he even makes it.
A 3rd-round pick with college numbers, leadership experience, and more tape than a Netflix series. He fit the mold. Polished, predictable, plug and play. Shedeur wasn't supposed to leapfrog anyone. He had no business jumping Flacco, much less Gabriel. But somehow, he did, and fast. This wasn't your regular QB shuffle. This was a plot twist, one that looked less like a tactical adjustment and more like a chessboard-flipping power move from a GM who's just had enough. Forget wait and develop. Shedeur went from fringe roster spot to the main character in Cleveland's latest quarterback experiment. It didn't matter that he was raw. It didn't matter he was inconsistent in preseason. Berry didn't care. He made the move anyway, loud, unapologetic, and totally Browns. Here's where it gets crazier. Dillon Gabriel didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't benched after blowing games or tanking practices. In fact, he probably checked every box a coach would want. It just wasn't enough.
We'll sit up there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam Schefter, the great insider, the ultimate one. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Dan Orlovsky just bring up what the man did last year in college? Because I didn't bring up Shedeur and the 72% completion. I didn't bring up Shedeur.
Because when Cleveland fans have been burned 29 times since 1999, enough doesn't move the needle anymore. They want magic. They want a miracle. And Andrew Berry, he gave them hope in the form of a rookie quarterback who wasn't supposed to be part of the story at all. But to understand why Berry placed that bet, you have to understand the power of one name: Sanders. In the NFL, some names open doors before you ever take a snap. Sanders is one of them. Shedeur Sanders didn't walk onto the field as just another rookie quarterback. He walked in as football royalty, the son of Deion Sanders, a man who doesn't just command a room, but owns the spotlight wherever he goes. And that spotlight, it followed Shedeur from Jackson State to Colorado, through every cable sports show, and now into the NFL. But this isn't just about name recognition. It's about the energy that follows it, the controversy, the expectations, the cameras that stay rolling, even when he's off the field.
In this preseason game, that was a pick six and a fumble. Now, the Dan Orlovsky I know that I have so much love and affection for, I must say. That, by the way, you know what, still needs to thank me a little bit more for that restaurant I treated him and his family to, because it was big time, and stop embarrassing me by going places and trying to use coupons. That's how pathetic he is.
Because when your dad is Coach Prime, greatness isn't suggested, it's assumed. Shedeur walked into rookie camp with eyes already on him. Teams weren't just scouting his game, they were sizing up the brand, the social media presence, the media magnetism, the cultural pull. And fair or not, that changes things. When your last name gets hashtags trending by itself, you become more than a developmental quarterback. You become a franchise narrative, a story every media outlet, fan base, and TV analyst wants a piece of. But pressure like that, it can break people. Some rookies crumble under it. They shrink. They play safe football to stay invisible. Not Shedeur. He wore the target. He leaned into it. He talked his talk and then backed it up with deep throws, pocket poise, and a level of composure that made even NFL vets take notice. People thought the Sanders name was carrying Shedeur, but what we're seeing now, it might be the other way around.
Shedeur Sanders ever starts a game for the Cleveland Browns. I don't believe he starts a game this year, obviously barring injury, which is the conversation you and I had. And if he doesn't get an opportunity to start a game this year because of injury and show something different than he was able to show this preseason, I don't believe they view him as a franchise builder, a franchise starter. And I'm gonna admit something on TV that you probably shouldn't. I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders. I wanted to turn the film on and be able to come on First Take, be on Get Up, and be on NFL Live.
And if he was going to thrive in all that weight and attention, the next question became, could he actually outplay the guy drafted ahead of him? In the NFL, camp battles are supposed to be decided by film, not followers. But when it came to Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, the numbers told a story neither PR spin nor draft status could ignore. Shedeur didn't just participate, he dominated. While Gabriel struggled with accuracy, completions hovering around 30%. Sanders was calmly connecting at 70 to 80%, lighting up reps like he'd been in the league for years. This wasn't some viral moment manufactured through edits. It was live, unfiltered performance. And it spread fast. Tweets started flying. Reporters refreshed their feeds, waiting for confirmation. Fans lit up comment sections demanding reps for Sanders. And Andrew Berry? He was watching every single snap. This wasn't about who the media wanted to succeed.
The owner wanted nothing to do with Shedeur. And when I tell you that the whole world, the community, the Black folks, we are so happy, we so thrilled. We want nothing but the best for Shedeur Sanders and Shiloh, 100%. But kudos, respect, and love to Andrew Berry. This is well deserved.
This was about who earned it. And by the end of that camp stretch, every practice felt less like competition and more like a countdown. The truth? Dillon Gabriel did nothing wrong. He showed up, played safe, did the expected. But Sanders did more. He brought heat, buzz, accuracy, command. He forced the issue, and in NFL politics, timing is everything. Because when two quarterbacks enter the same room, and one's getting love from both reporters and receivers, sometimes the depth chart shifts, not with a bang, but a quiet decision behind closed doors. That moment came fast. Gabriel was supposed to be ahead, and technically, he still was. But every pass Shedeur completed made that lead feel thinner. And every mistake Gabriel made, it got louder. By the time minicamp ended, fans weren't asking if Shedeur could compete. They were asking why he wasn't already the starter. But making noise in practice is one thing.
How much of this decision was based on where Gabriel was drafted, ahead of Sanders by a few rounds, and, as pertains to also their actual performance on the practice field and in games this preseason?
I think that Dillon Gabriel's performance on the practice field and in games confirmed the priors for the Cleveland Browns. They valued Dillon Gabriel as a better quarterback prospect than Shedeur Sanders, as evidenced by drafting one in the 3rd round and one in the 5th round, but they still won.
Getting past the owner's disapproval, that's where this story really gets wild. Let's be honest, making bold quarterback decisions in Cleveland is like lighting a match in a fireworks warehouse. You're either going to be called a genius or go down in flames. Andrew Berry knows that, and he made the move anyway. On the surface, giving a 5th-round rookie a fast track to relevance looks reckless, especially when you already had Dillon Gabriel, a higher draft pick, and veterans like Flacco to steady the room. But Berry wasn't interested in steady. He's seen what safe looks like. Cleveland's been playing the safe card for 2 decades. And what has it gotten them? 29 starting quarterbacks since 1999. A fan base more traumatized than hopeful. And highlight reels that look more like blooper reels. So no, Berry didn't just elevate Shedeur because of completion percentages or preseason flashes. He did it because he saw something bigger.
Both, but Dillon Gabriel, in the Cleveland Browns' estimation, performed better over these last few months. And so if football is a meritocracy, the better quarterback lines up ahead. You know, Shedeur Sanders had a very nice showing against the Carolina Panthers in the first preseason game, did not play in the second one, and then really struggled in that 3rd preseason game, so much so that he was yanked before the 2-minute drill in what was sort of a punitive move because of all the negative plays that he accounted for. And so now Shedeur Sanders, we knew that he was going to be on the 53-man roster. Now he's a 3rd-string quarterback, and during the season, 3rd-string quarterbacks don't get that many reps out there on the field. You know where the reps they get? It's with the scout team. So here we are in late August. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders, and I want everyone to just say with a clear mind, say with open hearts, that it is okay that a 3rd-string quarterback is going to be on the scout.
A spark, a shift in energy, a way to finally wake Cleveland the hell up. Because this wasn't just about scheme fits or developmental timelines. This was about culture, about belief, and let's be real, about grabbing attention in a league where headlines matter almost as much as wins. Elevating Shedeur wasn't just a football decision. It was a calculated bet that the Browns fan base, the front office, and maybe even the entire league needed someone to root for. Someone different. Someone loud. And Berry? He had the guts to pull the trigger, even with critics circling, and even when the team's owner reportedly hated the idea. That's not a personnel move. That's a GM drawing a line in the sand. But when the owner doesn't want the guy you're backing, you're either making history or digging your own grave. If you thought elevating Shedeur Sanders was controversial inside the league, imagine what it looked like inside the building.
Watched it, I thought he is better than some people are saying coming out of camp, but he's not as good as Shedeur Sanders. To me, nothing of that performance to me said this is the guy who should be stealing first-team reps while Shedeur is fourth. If anything, I got the impression it should have been opposite. Shedeur should be getting first-team reps and Gabriel should be the fourth string. And I'm not saying that he can't play at all, but I thought he didn't look as comfortable in the pocket. I thought his size looked like it could be a problem. Like a couple of his throws, he had to like really get up on tippy toes. Was that sustainable? I also didn't like, once he got off the script is when he kind of got worse, you know, and we saw Shedeur come out and maybe you could say Shedeur struggled early or at least like missed a couple throws, but he was up against.
According to multiple reports and plenty of sideline whispers, the Browns owner didn't even want Sanders on the roster, let alone in the mix for a starting job. The Sanders family brand, too loud, too flashy, too much drama attached. But Andrew Berry heard all of that and hit the gas anyway. That's not just bold, that's defiance. This is the NFL, where GMs usually play politician, smoothing egos, avoiding friction, protecting relationships. Barry, he lit a fuse with a smile on his face. If it fails, his head is the first one on the chopping block. But if it works, this becomes the coldest power move in Browns front office history. Let's put this into perspective. A fifth-round QB with one up-and-down preseason just leapfrogged a third-rounder after the franchise spent months building around someone else. Then we find out the owner wanted nothing to do with Sanders, and Barry still ran the play. That's not about a camp battle anymore. That's about belief. Barry didn't just select Sanders. He staked his own credibility on the kid's success. He bet that Shedeur wasn't just a quarterback. He was a storyline, a personality, and maybe, just maybe, the spark to finally reset the Browns' identity. And let's be clear, when a GM makes a move, the owner doesn't even co-sign, he's doing it because he sees something nobody else has the stomach to pull the trigger on. But it wasn't just about politics. It was rooted in what Shedeur actually did on the field, and the war he quietly won, on tape, at practice, in the trenches. Once the news broke that Shedeur was rising on the depth chart, Cleveland lost its mind. But not in celebration, more like in civil war. Half the fan base crowned Sanders the second coming of Cleveland's salvation. The other half buried Andrew Berry under tweets saying he just handed the franchise to Coach Prime's kid because of social media clout. And on one hand, Sanders was lighting up rookie camp with precision and poise, completion percentages through the roof, confidence through the sideline, and teammates slowly buying into the energy. But then came the preseason games. Game 1, flashy, confident, promising. Game 2, didn't play. Game 3, disaster. A pick six, a fumble, yanked before the 2-minute drill, and boom, the doubters pounced. Suddenly, analysts were dragging him on live TV. Twitter threads blew up with time-stamped lowlights. The honeymoon was over, and the spotlight, it turned scorching. That's when the real debate ignited. Was this just a media experiment gone wrong? Or was it the typical rookie roller coaster, the kind every future star goes through? Because here's the hard truth. Shedeur is not polished. He doesn't have 30 college starts. He didn't light up every preseason drive. He's raw, emotional, sometimes erratic. But that's not all he is. He's also composed under pressure, unshaken when the narrative flips. And most importantly, he's the only quarterback on that roster with the kind of energy that makes people care inside and outside Cleveland. Gabriel, he's solid. But Shedeur brings electricity. Still, that electricity comes with risk. And the next chapter will decide if Barry bet on potential or just a storyline. But one thing's for sure, Cleveland hasn't been this loud in years. For years, Cleveland has been searching for a quarterback. But what they really needed was a star, not just a system guy, not another clipboard lifer. Cleveland needed someone to light up the stadium, fill the jerseys, pull the camera's focus, and honestly, make the Browns feel alive again. Enter Shedeur Sanders, He's not perfect. He's not safe. But he matters in a way no Browns quarterback has in years. Let's be real. Gabriel might have the cleaner technique, the safer decision-making, even the better preseason overall. But when you put them on the field, only one of them has gravity. Only one of them feels like the moment changes when he touches the ball. And in Cleveland, that matters. This is a franchise so beaten down by QB failure that fans don't even expect Super Bowls anymore. They just want someone to believe in, someone they can rally around. Someone whose jersey doesn't become thrift store inventory by week 10. With Shedeur, they finally have that hope, even if it's risky, even if it goes south. Because Browns fans have seen flawed QBs before, but never one with this much charisma, storyline, toughness, and upside all wrapped into one. The dude took 70 sacks behind the worst O-line in college football last year, and he still put up 3,000 plus yards like it was nothing. You don't teach that kind of poise, you survive it, and then throw lasers from the pocket like you never forgot the pain. That's not just talent, that's identity. And for Cleveland, that's the first time in decades they've seen themselves reflected in their quarterback. But that doesn't make Shedeur safe. It makes him the biggest gamble the team's made in 20 years. Let's not sugarcoat it. This move could blow up in Andrew Berry's face. Shedeur Sanders could flame out. He could throw interceptions. He could sit behind Gabriel all season. And when the smoke clears, Cleveland could easily add another name to their long, cursed list of quarterbacks who almost were. And yet, that's exactly why this matters. Because for the first time in years, Cleveland football isn't boring, it isn't predictable, and it isn't hopeless. Andrew Berry didn't just make a quarterback decision. He forced an identity shift, one that screams, "We're not playing scared anymore." He drafted a kid the owner didn't want. He watched him rise past expectations. And then, instead of shelving him for a safer, flatter story, he pushed him to the center of the NFL conversation. That takes guts. That takes belief. That takes a vision bigger than just completing third down slants. And here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. There's a chance Shedeur fails. He's raw. He's still inconsistent. He's never thrown a professional pass. We know this. But there's also a chance, a real one, that he's the spark Cleveland's been missing for years. That he's not here to just play quarterback, he's here to change what a Browns quarterback can be. So whether you're riding the hype train or waving the caution flag, one thing's certain. Cleveland didn't just draft Shedeur Sanders. They handed him the keys to something nobody else wanted to drive. And whether it ends in glory or flame out, we'll all be watching.